Greetings everyone, welcome to the 200th issue of Sonic the Hedgehog. It's amazing that the comic has made it this far, so what better way to celebrate this 8th milestone than to have another fight between Sonic and Eggman, the so-called final battle, even though it isn't. But first, a brief recap. The Freedom Fighters and the Chaotix have infiltrated the Egg Dome and had no trouble against the opposition. That's because the ultimate goal is to deliver Sonic the Hedgehog to Eggman so the Doctor can end it himself. Also, the Legion is now aware of Snively and Regina's plan and are on Snively's side. For now. Anyway, the stage is set for the big fight. We begin with Eggman declaring that this is it, and Sonic's not taking this seriously. This makes Eggman angrier, which leads to some bragging, specifically how he successfully engineered the Mobiletropolis coup and recently destroyed Knothole. The fight officially begins, and while Sonic dodges the legs, he retorts that the Freedom Fighters took back the city and got rid of him. Well, technically Robotnik, but the comic at this point is treating the two as one and the same. Even if Eggman stole the city again, it was nuked later on, and the slag is now powering the hero's new home. Things are not exactly going your way lately, Eggman. Destroyed city, numerous freedom fighter groups, and areas that are not fully under your control. Yeah, sorry if I'm summarizing what they're saying, but all you're seeing right now is Sonic dodging attacks and landing some hits on the machine. However, this line of Sonic saying he'll beat Eggman again really gets under the Doctor's skin. He ups the challenge by hanging from the ceiling and trying to slice Sonic. Sonic cuts the rope. However, that would have happened if he carried rings. Still, it exposes this critical weak spot, one which Eggman denies Sonic. Looks like Sonic's going to have to do this the hard way. At least he's enjoying himself as he manages to slam that critical spot against the wall. After that, Sonic spin dashes the mech into pieces, and all Eggman can say is, "I hate that hedgehog." Among the wreckage, Sonic walks up to the now defeated Eggman, glasses in hand, and says, "Nya, I win." Unfortunately, that was the breaking point, as we see this creepy image of Eggman's mind shatter. It's so bad he rips his mustache. I mean, wow. Even Sonic's freaked out by this. And all I can say about this is, somewhere, Shadow is laughing. Nah, I take it back. Shadow doesn't laugh. That doesn't count. It's not canon. Anyway, Sally arrives to witness the withering ball of mess that was once Eggman. Snively also arrives to explain things. Eggman's a genius that could build many things, and has a world-spanning empire. But that one X-Factor that always eluded him and he couldn't defeat was Sonic the Hedgehog. And that obsession eventually destroyed his mind. Snively declares them the victors and tells them to leave so he can take care of Eggman. Yeah. The rest of the two teams arrive, and after Sonic tells them they've won, everyone's in a celebratory mood. Even the people back home. Almost everyone. Sonic's not getting his usual enjoyment out of this victory, but saves face for the sake of the others. After a brief talk with Sally about what's going to happen now, everyone leaves. Man, they're really into celebrating right now. Otherwise, they would have noticed this flying object approaching the Egg Dome. So how is Snively taking care of Eggman? By locking him in a padded cell. Snively goes to the roof of the Egg Dome when the flying object, a dirigible, is docking. He introduces the new leader of the Eggman Empire, the Iron Queen? Well, this is definitely a blast from the past. More on that in a moment. Most of this issue consists of the Sonic vs. Eggman fight. Unlike, say, issue 50 when that battle had more of a sad AM tone, this one feels like it could fit right in among the 3D games. In fact, I wouldn't mind playing something like this, running around, dodging the legs, and finding the right opportunity to hit the Egg Tarantula's vulnerable underside. All it was missing was a memorable Eggman quote. "Get a load of this!" But then at that point, Eggman was on the verge of a meltdown. I like that it's reflected in the dialogue, and with these images right here, especially the ones that feature him and a reflection of Sonic in the glass. Kudos to Ian and Tracy. Of course, early on in the fight, the two were talking about past events, and again, it's for the fans. What's surprising about Eggman's breakdown, besides Sonic's reaction to it, is we see Eggman's eyes.
I can see his eyes! I should never have seen Dr. Eggman's eyes!
They're black and red, just like the original Robotnik. Which makes sense because Eggman once had the form of the original Robotnik. The only problem I have with this entire breakdown scene is not Sonic and later Sally's reaction to the event. In fact, it's one of the strong points. Made even better if one reads Sonic Universe issue 2 beforehand and has Shadow's warning in mind. It's not necessary, but as I said in that review, it enhances the flavor of this issue. No, the main problem is Sonic and Sally letting Eggman and Snively go. Sure, it goes back to their reaction to the breakdown, and Snively furthering their guilt with this manipulative speech, but they're still war criminals. Crazy Eggman is still dangerous, and spoilers, will do something in about 5 issues. And Snively, they know what that little weasel's capable of, and still they let him go. I'll cut them a little slack, in which I mean, they think he's also reacting to the Eggman breakdown in a sad manner. People do react to tragedy in a different way. Unfortunately for them, Snively wanted this to happen as part of the plan with Regina. Still, you guys should have known better. Of course, the reason they don't put Snively and Eggman under arrest is for the sake of the plot. You know, I wonder what would have happened if Eggman and Snively were taken away by the heroes. The Iron Queen's dirigible would have shown up regardless, and she'd still have taken over. But with no Snively around, yeah, it's too much even for me to speculate over. Anyway, the issue reintroduces us to the Iron Queen last seen way back in issue 60. And from what I've read, people figured out who she was before this issue. The first clue was this communique between her and Snively. I assume the screen names of the EggNet Instant Messenger are standardized. So let's see, NMASR would stand for New Megapolis Area, Snively Robotnik, and then there's DKARF. DKA would be Dragon Kingdom Area, and the RF would have puzzled people at first, but with the later revelation that it's a her, and that we learn her name is Regina in a later issue, people started to put the pieces together. For those not familiar with Latin, Regina means queen. As for the F, I'll go ahead and reveal this. It stands for Ferrum, and if you translate that into English, it means iron. You're welcome. Overall, the Iron Queen's design is mostly unchanged. Only now we can clearly see that she's human, or overlander, honestly at this point the two species are practically the same, and not a badger. I talked about it in issue 60, but I'll briefly address this again. The powers that be at the time thought she was a badger. Do you get badger out of this? All I see is someone who overdid the eyeshadow one morning. Well, at least now she's wizened up in the makeup department to avoid confusion. Queenie's brought an entourage with her, so let's take a quick look. The big guy here, that's the good old Iron King. He too's been redesigned a bit to better match the comic's current visual style. The ninja bats here are the thieving Yagyu, first seen way back in Sonic Super Special 8. How they ended up as her soldiers is something for another day. And finally, we have this Lynx. Never seen her before, but I'm sure she'll be important for the upcoming arc. Yeah, she's probably just here for the arc and that's it. Probably won't matter in the grand scheme of things. This Milestone issue gets an 8. Despite my earlier thing about not arresting the villains, I think this is a worthy conclusion to the 3-part Not the Final Battle arc. And I've read somewhere that this arc was intended to be payback for what happened in issue 175, which is odd because I thought 177 was the payback issue. Anyway, the issue also sends the comic in a temporary new direction, as the Iron Queen and her gang will become the big bads for a while. Yes, next time we begin the long-awaited Iron Dominion arc. Until then, have a good day and be safe. Snively's really lucky he met a fellow Overlander online. I mean, she could have faked her look and been a Mobian the entire time. That would have been awkward and stupid. And come on, pairing a human and an animal? The Sonic franchise would never do that.